Doghouse Racing League is proud to be sponsored by Shoney's. Shoney's is today's all-American kitchen, open daily for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Shoney's guests can count on quality, delicious food along with warm, friendly service. Stop by one of the West Virginia locations to try their freshly prepared legendary breakfast bars. And don't forget to take home a whole strawberry pie. Shoney's, delicious food and friendly service since 1947. Are you looking for sports merchandise for your favorite teams, apparel, jerseys, headwear, hard goods, and looking to be involved with NASCAR? Fanatics is your one-stop shop. Fanatics is partnered up with all major professional sports leagues, as well as hundreds of collegiates and pro teams. Join them now at Fanatics. And if you use the link down below in the description, you'll be able to help out the Doghouse Racing League. While using that link, all commissions go to the Doghouse Racing League, which helps fund prizes and goods for the drivers out on track. Thank you so much for Fanatics, and enjoy the show! Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Thursday night, the last race of the week for us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. And we're happy to give you the coverage of the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series Season 1 for 2024. This season's been a pleasure for us to get to know these drivers. The racing action's been intense, but tonight it's race 6 on the schedule, and the drivers have another monster to tackle. It's the 2-mile in length Auto Club Speedway for the Shoney's 200 here at Auto Club. These drivers have a lot of tests that they've been dealing with, but tonight we'll finish off a good spree of races before they go into a 2-week break before they come back in the middle of April. So it's going to be a good time for these drivers to hit their mark before they take a long break, get those setups dialed in, and tackle the rest of the season. But for us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, we're happy to give you all the coverage here tonight. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Zach Hall. And Zach, tonight Auto Club, similar to some of the tracks that we've seen so far this season, this track's going to be giving us a lot more of the draft package.
That it will be, Sam. This is going to be a wild race, folks. Luckily we have Auto Club here as RIP to Auto Club. Unfortunately, one of the tracks that has been taken off the schedule in NASCAR and kind of unfortunately not a real track anymore. So we get that luxury here to race still on iRacing, as in my opinion, one of the best tracks out there. And we're going to be going into those nighttime conditions. Speeds are going to be high. Drafting is going to definitely be a huge part of it, and using all the lanes available to you too. So it's going to be a fun 100 laps, and I'm excited to see how this thing starts off.
100 laps of great racing action, no stage break, no fast repairs, just 3 sets of tires in pit road. But as we head down to trackside, the drivers have their first tough task of the evening. That's going to be qualifying. How do you put down your fastest lap? Drivers will have 5 minutes to put down their fastest time, but only 2 laps to do so. You brush the wall, get in the grass, you will invalidate that lap time. And for these drivers here tonight, there's a couple of names that have been the top dogs for qualifying. For the last 2 times that they've been at this course, it's been Justin McMahon that's been the top driver to get the pole, but yet to win at this course. Another driver that's gotten the pole here, Jonathan Jennings, who's a 2-time winner here at Auto Club. So there are some numbers that are lining up for certain drivers, but Zach, we've seen this season, there have been some drivers that have really gone against the grain and have been better than what they've ran in the past.
They really have. It's been a coming out party for a lot of drivers this season who have gone against past previous history and have shown speed. As we'll see what the 94 Millette here has, is he had a fantastic run last week. So I'm excited to see what he can carry from this, Sam. Definitely a lot of momentum in this team. And like you said, we have a 2-week break coming up, folks. So you want to end this little bit of this first part of this schedule on a very strong note to give you that momentum to head into these next 2 weeks and build you a great setup for when they head to Bristol. So it is definitely, I think, a very important race tonight to try to give yourself something to look forward to and, continue to build on.
Trying to build on that speed and momentum that these drivers have set for the first half of the season. But Tyler Millette going to be already brushing the wall on the first lap. So hurting on the aero wise, also losing slight speed. And for these drivers, you're building up speed for this first lap. You're really trying to maximize as much as you can. And for the 94, he's got to hope that that exit out of 2 doesn't hurt him too bad on this second lap as Millette exits out of 4, dives down, using up the apron. That's fair game here for qualifying and during the race. And now Millette's going to be starting his second lap as fastest driver for a quick second was Michael Hayes. Now it's going to be Mike Leftwich top of the board as we're going to be seeing those numbers cycling through. Millette going to be cycling down to the inside row, and he's already trying to power his way forward.
That is. We'll see what this second time produces. Luckily, it was that first lap that was invalidated for Millette and not the second, because that's where the speed is going to be shown right now. McMahon up on the top of the board, once again showing great qualifying pace, but again, that was his first lap attempt. I think when these second laps come through, you might see someone duck down into those 38s.
Cross the line for Tyler Millette as Michael Hayes' second lap going to be a 39.010 so far, holding up for Millette. Not going to be as quick as maybe he was hoping for. Going to be mired back in the middle of the field as he is going to be hoping for a better run. Here's another driver who's been actually running pretty well. That's going to be Matthew Campbell in the 82 machine, part of the alliance of Twisted Axle. And Twisted Axle, I was looking at the way that they've been running at these similar racetracks, Zach. I think they might be the top team to watch out for with the style of racing we're expecting to see here tonight.
I'd have to agree. And, you know, the thing I look back at Las Vegas is they were on the wrong strategy at that track, and they still came out with really good finishes there. I think tonight, if they can hit the strategy right, you could very well see a lot of those. That's, you know, alliance team together. Is look at this, Steve Gerber. Gerber is going to jump to the top of the board, and that's a 38.98 there. Only person in the 38s. Wow, what a lap.
An incredible lap to be seen by the 10 machine there as he is putting down that burner. He loves to see that type of a run for Steve as he will take that advantage for now. It's going to be 0.02 of a second over the next driver of Michael Hayes. Campbell's going to try his best to cross the line and maybe bounce up from 21st position. And for Campbell, he'll only be able to move up to 4th place. And this has been a very awkward and different qualifying than what we've seen for traditionally throughout the season. A lot of new faces and names on the top of the board.
And it is very much a lot of new faces, Sam. This is fun to watch everybody bounce through and put their times in. Is watching Jonathan Smith. This will be his second attempt at the lap. So we'll see what he is able to do. But this has been fun to watch. And Kevin Thompson, as I say that, now he jumps to the top and he got it by a country mile. I mean, almost a full 10.
Where did the 6 find that qualifying speed? Now, these drivers, because it's an open setup league, may have different adjustments for how they want qualifying setup trim to be compared to race trim. And Thompson has found a massive amount of speed over the rest of the field. I mean, it was thousands of seconds between second back to around 8th place. They were all on top of one another, and Thompson, like you said, a country mile ahead of everybody else. And now Eric Warman going to be trying his best here. That second lap going to be the only one that may count, but he brushes the wall, and the 31, both laps going to be invalidated for himself. So no time going to be placed for Eric Warman nor for Kevin Brown, but 30 other drivers place the time in, and it's Kevin Thompson by 0.09 of a second, almost a full 10th over second place. And what a time for the 6 machine. Certainly going to be a driver to watch out for as the lights click on, warm-up starts up, and the drivers get themselves prepared for some incredible racing here under the lights. It's going to be some cool racing temperatures throughout this evening, but let's first take a look at how these drivers enter into tonight's race, because there's a couple of changes when you look at the point standings of drivers to watch out for coming into this run. Top of the board still Michael Hayes. Second place, though, we find Jonathan Jennings, but a couple of drivers hit with penalties after last week's running because of drivers not calling out for the cause of wrecks. You are going to be penalized if they go back on the replays and find that you didn't call for you being the cause of it. It was Justin McMahon and Nicholas Atwood, both penalized. Big ding points, Zach. 20 points docked because they didn't call out that they were the cause of an incident. That is going to hurt them in the long run moving forward.
That it will. It definitely will be a huge loss for them, but you know, it's something that other drivers are gonna have to think about and say, hey, that's where others lost out. I don't need to do that same similar incident. So we'll see how those points shape up, but man, it's definitely getting fun to see how it's all worked out this season so far.
This upcoming schedule for these drivers certainly going to be a fun one. Talked about it. They're going to go into a 2-week break from today of being the 21st of March until the 11th of April. We'll be back to racing action as the drivers will head to Bristol, Texas, Richmond, as well as going to be going at Talladega and Dover, Kansas, before they go into another 2-week break. So this next stretch of races going to be still pretty unique, but a lot more traditional of what maybe you're used to watching for NASCAR schedules. But Zach, this upcoming 6 races is going to be a fun one to watch when we come back from our 2-week break. But 2 weeks, it's a lot of time to get your setups dialed in, unless iRacing puts out another big update.
Things can change very fast in the landscape of iRacing, my friend. So, yeah, when they go to Bristol next week, 2 weeks from now, it will definitely be a interesting time to just see, who's built what, because you're going to have plenty of time in your locker to kind of, so to say, build. So I think Bristol could be a very interesting one. We could see some people really dominant, or it could be very close because of the extra added time. I think it could go both ends of the way. So very interesting part of the schedule coming up, and I'm excited to see how it plays out.
Certainly is going to be a fun one to watch, but also another fun thing to watch out for is a new segment that we're bringing on for Thursday nights. If you've been watching us on Mondays, we have a pick'ems segment where we decide, us as the broadcasting crew, who we think may be the winner coming into tonight's race. And let's take a look at who our pick'ems are going to be. For myself, I think I went with a little bit more of an obvious pick based off how the season's been running and how I've been hearing about this track running. I'm going with the 6 machine of Kevin Thompson. Twisted Axles, a team, have been great drivers to watch out for. I got a feeling, though, this 6 machine, Victory Lane, is calling him again for the 3rd time this season.
I got to give you credit. That's a very, very good pick there, Sam. But I had to go a little different way for my own pick here tonight. I think this driver's been the most consistent, and a win is due for this guy, and that's Michael Hayes in the 22 machine. He's been so quick. He's our points leader. I think tonight it could possibly be his time to break through with that 3rd qualifying position. So I'm excited to see how his night shapes up.
And our producer, Robert Moyer Jr., thank you for running all the graphics for us. Who is his pick on who he thinks is going to win? Going with the 98 of Jamie Horn. And Horn's actually been pretty good at these super style racetracks. I don't think that's the worst pick in the world. That 98 could be someone to watch out for. The finishes haven't been as clean, but he's just hoping for one good run, and Horn could be back in the mix. So those are your 3 pick'ems. What's interesting, one driver we left off the list, or you could say 2. We don't have Andrew St. Cyr, nor do we have the likes of last season's champion of Jonathan Jennings, who Jennings has won this race twice, Zach. But I'm curious if he's going to find that luck to get up front, especially with the way these drivers qualified here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see with just how the shakeup of the field is here with, certain guys not being out there, so to say. So it's, I think it's opened up the door. And I mean, I think Kevin Thompson, after his big win last week and, getting in such a fashion like he did, I think comes here with a lot of momentum. Like you said, he could be looking for that 3rd win. So I think your pick was pretty good, I gotta admit, Sam.
Thanks. I thought it was. We usually give our picks out to Robert, but in the middle of the practice session, right before qualifying, so we don't have that qualifying advantage to give ourselves. But looking at the stats, maybe thought that was going to be the right one to go with. But for these drivers here tonight, they now have to prepare 100 laps, 200 miles at the Auto Club Speedway for the Shoney's 200. These drivers will have no stage break, no fast repairs, 3 sets of tires in pit road. And it's going to be a blast to watch. We've been loving the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. It's been a great league for us to pick up on Thursday nights. And now it's time to see where the drivers will be starting up here this evening. You saw the qualifying, but let's get a rundown on where our 32 drivers will be starting here this evening by Group 6. As taking that top spot will be the 6 machine of Kevin Thompson. 2nd place, thought maybe he could steal the show, but he'll still be up front in that front row. It's the 10 machine of Steve Gerber. 3rd position is our points leader of the 22 of Michael Hayes. Going to be seeing David Halsey, who's been having a fabulous qualifying run these last few races. He'll be starting in 4th. Matthew Campbell starting in 5th. 6th, we find Jonathan Smith in the 99. Joe McKnight, great qualifying for the 51. He'll start in 7th position. 8th will be our producer's pick of Jamie Horn in that 98 machine. Steven Simon Great finish last week at Phoenix. He's hoping for another good one for another top 10. It's going to be starting in 9th and finish out our top 10 drivers. It's the 56 of Adam Gardner.
Starting in 11th is the 60 of Mike Leftwich. In 12th, it's going to be the 9 of Steven Bonomo. Starting 13th, it's going to be the 92 of Cameron King. In the 14th position, it's going to be the 78 of Daniel Wilkerson. With 15th position going to Nicholas Atwood. 16th is going to be the 24 of Justin McMahon. With 17th in qualifying going to Nicholas Schnell. 18th is going to be Christopher Norris back in the 83 machine, with 19th being the 8 of Chris Leftwich, with the 7 of Gary Armio rounding out our top 20.
In 21st, we find the 43 of Eric Anderson. 22nd position is the 14 of Mark Dumont. In 23rd, it's the 94 Tyler Millette. Not a great qualifying run for the 94, but in 24th, it's the last year's Rookie of the Year, Gary Clune, in the 45 machine. In 25th position, we find Leroy Koblitz in the 42. In 26th, it's the 4 of Bill Gentry. In 27th, we find the 17 of Richard Leclerc. Then in 28th, it's going to be Michael Doe in the 50. In 29th, we find Michael Manjaka in the 34 machine. Raymond Hanneman going to be starting in 30th, with Eric Warman and Kevin Brown both not putting a time in, and will be starting in 31st and 32nd position. As these drivers getting ready to pull off of pit road, Zach, Auto Club, I got a feeling these drivers all know Auto Club's such a dynamic track. I know we miss it in real life, no longer able to drive this course anymore. It's been torn down, but virtually this track is always going to be a blast to watch. But I think weather could be another factor for these drivers to watch out for.
That it very well could be. This place changes a ton. Its old surfaces affected a lot by this weather. And look at this, we got some new shiny stuff to show off here as we got new stuff to add to our weather. We got that in sim time. As you see, it's 7:42 p.m. here in sim. The humidity, though, that's a new addition here. Is we got 94% humidity, and that is a lot of humidity out there with that south wind, and that's blowing at about 13 mile an hour there. So we've got some windy conditions. It's a cool track with 67 degrees, Sam. This is definitely going to play a factor in my opinion, especially with that humidity. That's a cool addition there, as that has a huge effect on the horsepower of these race cars.
The wind, humidity, going to be two big factors to watch out for. One driver is going to be starting in pit road. Looked to be disconnected was Gary Armio, who's going to have to start in pit road as the field is rolling through 3 and 4. Hate to see that for the 7, but open for a quick caution. But these drivers going to be on top of one another, going to be using all different lanes, inside, outside, 2 wide, 3 wide, maybe even see 5 wide at times. See, these drivers want to tackle the beginning of this race. 100 laps can be done in a blink of an eye, but also your race can be done just as quickly. As up front, Kevin Thompson, Steve Gerber, going to be your front drivers to watch out for. Here as the pace car pulls off into pit road. The Shoney's 200 at Auto Club enters the restart zone, and we are green here tonight for race number 6. And it's already going to be seeing these drivers roaring up to gear, and it's going to be the 6th machine of Kevin Thompson having the advantage so far on the inside, but that 10 of Gerber open for the better run onto the backstretch.
I think we're already going to see here pretty early that it is going to be a very much stacked up race here, guys. So pay attention. It is going to be very much 3-4 wide at moments. And these drivers here with the tire fall off that I've seen in practice, it's going to be non-existent. So everybody's going to have to figure this out here, how they're going to make moves.
How do you make moves? What adjustments may you have to make in pit road to enable yourself to cut through this pack? As you're already seeing drivers down to that white line, others up to the blue wall. But lap number 1, give it to Kevin Thompson. Going to lead lap 1 for himself. And already drivers in the middle of the field have already some advanced 4 positions in just 1 lap. But certainly, you know, every position can be tossed around. How many lead changes will we see? It's going to be a fun counter to keep on track, as currently still Thompson leading the group as we're single filing out for our top 3.
This is going to be very fun to watch because I talked about the tire fall off. There's really not much out there, folks. You can see some very fast lap times late into the run. But one thing we need to factor for those lap times and that tire fall off is it's going to be much quicker when we're in a pack like this because of the draft. And that's going to cause more tire fall off and more tire wear. So we could see more of that fall off here in this race. And I think that could create a little bit more passing as it goes on. But I expect them to be stacked up on each other for the whole fuel run majority of this time.
Running in that middle groove, the 22 of Michael Hayes trying to make his way forward. Halsey on the outside groove will stay there. A couple of drivers, though, ducking to the apron. Jamie Horn looked to have a big slide for the 98. He is dropping back quickly as everyone scatters around. They're going to be staying side by side, 3 wide through 3 and 4. Now a stacked 4 wide for a quick second as Wilkerson will stay all the way up to the wall. Christopher Norris advances forward, and the rest of the field sees that 98 in a blink of an eye fall all the way back to the tail end of the group.
And I think he got into that wall off it too, and that caused a major issue for him. So stacked him up, and Christopher Norris looks like he took advantage of it. He's on the outside of this 92 of Cameron King here as they work off the top of 2. Now Wilkerson, he's got that 24 of McMahon, who used to qualifying up front for that 24 a little bit farther back than he wanted, I think, for qualifying. But we'll see if maybe this time that he's built the race speed into that car.
As you're seeing Justin McMahon, Wilkerson, Chris Leftwich, drivers that we know can get up front. Question is, how quickly do they want to do so? Also, Nicholas Atwood going to be in the mix there. And that 24 and the 19 again, hit with a 20-point deduction after last week at Phoenix and not calling out being a cause of a caution. And losing up on those points could be crucial as we're seeing the 3 wide racing here. The 99 of Justin Smith in the middle with Christopher Norris, Cameron King. Those 2 drivers, they're just pulling along, sticking to their lanes, but both advancing forward.
That they are, and this is a very racy racetrack right now. I've seen multiple passes on the bottom. I've seen multiple passes up top. So it just seems like wherever you can get the speed found and hook it up, you can make stuff happen. But right now, this is where really the hornet's nest is, back in these farther positions around 15th, 16th, and 17th here as we ride around Chris Leftwich.
Seeing Tyler Millette, Chris Leftwich on top of one another. This is battling for going to be for the drivers in 17th position. Also seeing Nicholas Schell trying to get his name into the mix. Here's Raymond Hanneman back in 25th position, and Kevin Brown. Brown decided not to qualify, and right now the 33 is the biggest mover, just cruising on the inside. But you can see here, cool, calm, and collective's the 38. I think recognize this is a long race, and staying further back in the field is not the worst position to be in right now here at Auto Club, especially on the chance of these drivers get too racy up front. A big one is right around the corner.
That it is. It can be very well right around the corner. I've seen some very wide action right around the 8th, 9th positions. I think Christopher Norris, Stephen Bonomo, Joe McKnight, all of those drivers 3 wide off of 2. And they've been a little bit squirrely here and there. I'm getting concerned that we may have a caution around our next few moments here.
As the drivers inside of our top 15 get an antsy around one another, bats around that picture we see on screen. Cameron King stuck in the middle as Jonathan Smith gets close to that outside wall, gives a slight bump from the 24 as King drops down close to the 98 machine. They'll stay 4 wide as Tyler Millette giving the most space, but the 3 drivers on the outside row really needed to back off was King there as they were squeezing up on the entry of turn 1. Very close to one another, but they keep it together. And Zach, looking at the trends, the one trend I feel like they've been keeping pretty close to, when you look at past seasons to this season, is the range of caution laps that have come out the past 3 to 4 times they enter a racetrack that they go to. In the last 3 times, they've here at the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series, they've only ran here at Auto Club 4 times in the past, but the past 3 races, it's been anywhere from 3 to 0 cautions. So low count of caution counts, even with the close racing. This field knows, hey, every position does count if you look at that trend alone.
That it does. It really shows that everything does count. And the racing that we're getting right now is pretty excellent, I must say. As you can see right here from that onboard of Cameron King, it is stacked up. Everybody fighting to find a way forward, but it just seems like nobody can really find that true way forward. It seems like you get his position and then you lose one the next lap. So it's really hard as people are just kind of bouncing back and forth with each other.
Yeah, one driver that has the grip are really into risks at shipping their vehicle down into a corner a little bit more aggressive than the other, and some are taking it smooth, trying to get a better exit out of the corner. Those give and go moments is what we're seeing right now. 10 laps in the book. 10% of this race is done and dusted. And it's going to be the 22 of Michael Hayes leading the way. Kevin Thompson, Steve Gerber falling to 2nd and 3rd. You still see the side-by-side racing that's happening for 7th back to 15th. They continue to just not give up any space in time. And right now, the biggest mover on track is 5th place now runner of the 83 of Christopher Norris. And oh no, trouble for the 57 of Halsey. Goes into the grass, comes back on track, and somehow they keep it all together. But a huge squeeze for the 57, and he'll fall from 5th place all the way back to 16th in the blink of an eye. And just like that, they resettle. The drivers are scared at the moment. Here's a replay of what just happened to Halsey. And oh no, trouble for on live screen. Drivers got loose into the inside wall, but here's what happened to the 57 just moments ago that got him into the grass.
Oh, now yellow flag will actually come out here a little bit later. So we'll have that admin turn yellow for that instance. So nothing too big here, but it looks like right here off that exit, it's going to be 3 wide for a moment. And I think you're going to see the 57 kind of come down, and unfortunately at the same time, the car in the middle comes up and they just meet together. But what a save. What a good job getting it back onto the track without really taking the way out.
And able to come back out on track. But the incident that happened on the backstretch, hard contact for Joe McKnight and Tyler Millette in the 94. And it's going to be Millette who gets the worst of it here off the exit. The 51, 94 going to be side by side. McKnight comes down, collects the 94, and at the worst angle, Millette just slams into the inside wall. Heavy damage, required damage, and he's slowly puttering into pit road.
Oh man, that was such a heavy hit from Millette. I mean, we'll see here again from his riding on board standpoint. He's got McKnight there on the outside of him. We're going to see he's going to get hit here coming off the exit from that 51 machine here down the back straight. We're going to cross right here. Just the worst angle possible as that wall sticks out, and that is a destroyed race car right there, Sam.
Tough hit, and that's going to be a tough call for the 94, but strategy calls. Zach, we talked about Las Vegas and how some drivers made the call of staying out. Others made the call to come to pit road early during that race. Same situation here. Half the field stays in, half the field stays out, and it is already changing up strategies 13 laps in this race.
This is going to be very, very interesting. And looking lap time wise, I mean, Hayes ran his fastest lap on lap 10, the lap before all that broke down there, so to say. And that shows me that I think a lot of people are going to be focusing on fuel only. And yeah, I think a lot of drivers did that fuel only stops here for majority of the field who came in.
Fuel only, a couple of drivers is going with 2 tire strategy calls. I think that's probably the most interesting to watch out for. 2 tires. Zach, you know, for some tracks it's viable, others it's not. Here tonight at Auto Club, what's your thoughts on the 2 tire call?
It could very well work. I do know that like the tire wear is just not a lot here tonight, and the reason I think you've seen a lot of guys come down, you're probably saying, man, why would they just come get fuel? I mean, if you're gonna come down, you might as well get tires, which some did farther back. I think you want to keep the track positions, why some didn't, of course, but the fuel is the biggest thing these guys want, because it was very, very close coming in here tonight to being a 2-stop race if we went green. They have 3 sets of tires coming here. They didn't use a set. They just came down and got fuel. Now they're at least in an even boat with the guys ahead of them when it comes to sets of tires, but they have more fuel and that leverage to make a 2-stop work from here, where now the drivers who stayed out, they're going to have to save a little bit of fuel just to make that 2-stop happen, in my opinion.
As there is also an issue that happened earlier in the race, even before all these wrecks happened. Right when they were about to take the green, it looked to be a mechanical issue for the 31 of Eric Warman. He had to drive his machine into the pit wall to make sure other drivers were not caught up with his emergency issue that happened to the 31 right when they were going to take the green, and Warman has officially just left the server. You hate to see that for the 31 that qualified back in 31st. The speed really wasn't there for qualifying. But for Eric Warman, he'll come back in 3 weeks when we are done with our break at Bristol. But for everyone else on track, our top 8 drivers did not enter pit road. They're going to be seeing how not taking fuel is going to be affecting their race. First driver that took 4 tires and fuel going to be Jamie Horn, back in 13th position. And then all the other drivers that took 4 tires and fuel was even deeper in the field, back in 25th, 26th position. Everyone else fuel only, a couple taking 2 tires, but Zach, the majority not taking tires at all. I like that call, but for Jamie Horn, I think going to be a good kind of control vehicle to watch out on. How efficient will this be for the 98 moving forward, because that's the only direction I would imagine this 98 wants to go on this restart after giving up a handful of positions after hitting the wall earlier on. But up front, it's going to be Adam Gardner, Steve Gerber, Steven Bonomo, going to be your top three with Mike Leftwich, Chris Leftwich, Justin McMahon, Nicholas Schell, and David Halsey going to be your top 8. Pace car into pit road as we enter the restart zone. The Shoney's 200 at Auto Club is back underway as our front runners get a great launch. A little bit of shuffling, though, for the drivers on the outside. But it's going to be Gardner with the best launch of them all, taking that top spot.
Great launch by him for sure. And now we'll see what Gerber does here. Now it's 3 wide back there. McMahon diving to the inside. Big move from him, and excellent way to make that move up into that 4th position. But we'll see how these drivers fire off with that extra fuel. That's another thing, Sam. Adding fuel to these race cars does change the balance. It weighs down the rear end. It kind of changes your ride heights a little bit. So you got to play that a little bit of factor and know that maybe this run here, your balance might be a little bit different.
As the drivers through 3 and 4, already all the different lanes being utilized. Adam Gardner still leading the charge, but second place now going to be slotted in with the 24 of Justin McMahon. Mike Leftwich also moving forward. Steve Bonomo falling from 3rd, already back to 8th, and the 9 just does not look comfortable in that in that orange and white machine. He's now starting to fall into the clutches of drivers that topped off on fuel, as you're seeing all the scattering of drivers willing to even go down to almost the apron when they see a chance to make a move.
Wow, yeah, this has been a very interesting start here with a few guys not being able to fire the tires up probably the way they wanted here, and it's kind of surprised them maybe a little bit. So right now, some big moves being made, and Christopher Norris right here is coming up behind this group of McMahon, Mike Leftwich. He's leading the brigade on those new tires, or new fuel.
Was that topped off on fuel working that way? Driver with fresh rubber, Jamie Horn, back in 16th, eventually lost positions from the time that he took off. Slight scrape ahead, going to be by the 10 machine of Steve Gerber, getting a slight rush. That's where that puff of smoke was. Seeing our top 4 all in line, trying to make the charge forward, and right now second place. Father and son combination of the Leftwiches. Right now seeing son of Chris Leftwich trying to make pass on the 83 of Christopher Norris, so we're right on board with. Father, Mike Leftwich, runs in second, trying to stay ahead. As we take a look at camera for Christopher Norris, he's still working the top, trying to stay ahead of the 8 machine. But Chris Leftwich, we've seen already, just in a handful of races that we watched, probably one of the more aggressive drivers that we've seen of anyone out there on the field, this 8 machine.
He will make some moves, man. He's definitely exciting to watch here. Looks like Christopher Norris working up to the back bumper of the 10 of Gerber here. He's going to look to the inside and try to make something happen, but it's tough to do. But it looks like he's actually got a pretty good run here coming off the exit. And Gerber sliding up the racetrack, but it's going to be the draft from the outside, the pushing that's coming from the outside of Hayes, and that's going to allow this 83 to get stacked up. Now the 8's going to look to his inside and look again. We talked about the aggressive moves. The 8 makes it, and he's almost going to slide into the 83 as they're going to barely make that work.
Almost like contact, going to keep it together. Trying to work on the outside. It's going to be Kevin Thompson. Thompson trying to utilize as much as he can. Also, you see in the back half of our camera was the 98 of Horn that was trying to dive it 3 wide. As he's trying to make his way past Bill Gentry and a few other drivers. That's also going to be the 14 of Dumont and Halsey. Halsey has not been able to advance forward currently, and another driver trying to tag along with this 98 machine. Going to be Nicholas Atwood. Atwood giving the bump to the outside row and utilizing the draft to perfection at this current moment. But we go back up to that lead pack. They're starting to get a little bit more side-by-side racing, and it's going to make it a lot more equal footing for the drivers that are trying to utilize the inside row and utilize the draft on the straightaways.
They are, and Adam Gardner, while this is all going on, is driving away from these guys. So yeah, he's putting down some burners. Right now, Leftwich, though, and McMahon kind of leading that front group here. But Hayes is starting to come through. So is Kevin Thompson with Gerber and Christopher Norris also. So there's been some big movement through here, but everybody kind of stacked up, nowhere to go.
We're seeing great racing right now, but we're 21 laps into this run. Drivers that topped off on fuel have been out there. Green flag racing for about 6 laps. Zach, fuel-wise, what is the picture we're looking for these drivers? As Christopher Norris into the outside wall gets a little bit spooked, he'll come down and make slight contact with the 8 machine of Leftwich as they keep it all together, staying 3 wide. But The fuel window, I'd imagine, Zach, is something that those drivers that topped off are looking at, as well as trying to keep their track position.
And they are definitely thinking about that fuel window. And personally, where they're going to be looking to go to, Sam, is anywhere personally, if they can get to around 38, 39 here, even 40, that will really help their causes of making this race a lot easier when it comes to strategy. Because really, from what we looked at, I looked at coming in here tonight about 32 to 33 laps of fuel. That is not enough to get it done on 2 stops. So you're going to need, like I said, to save about a lap to a lap and a half in each of these runs if you want to make it happen. So that caution was a huge benefit for everybody who topped off.
Trying to make their runs on the outside, topping off with fuel, going to be helping them with the strategy calls, as Zach just said. And right now, Adam Gardner up to 1.2 seconds over Mike Leftwich. Leftwich starting to get some more pressure of drivers behind him, battling for second, third, and fourth, as we also keep our eyes battling for this positioning for 7th and 8th. But front runners, Kevin Thompson, finally able to solidify himself up front, moving forward, and trying to get back to where he was in 2nd and 3rd position, battling back and forth with the likes of Steve Gerber. Gerber's starting to fall back again. Part of the drivers that did not top off on fuel and might have to back off to figure out how to get to that range that we were just talking about on their fuel numbers that they're trying to hit.
That they will. They're very well going to have to save a good little bit of fuel, in my opinion. And, you know, the caution helped them. It really did help them for at least this first run. But if, for their sake, Sam, in my opinion, anybody who didn't pit and hasn't put extra miles in there, if you can get to 35 on this first stop, that puts you in a good window, because then you can almost make 32 lap runs each time, and it'll almost work. You're just going to have to make one 33 lap run during that, and you can make the 2-stopper work. But if you can get to 36, it makes everything that even much easier.
And the one driver that I'm most concerned about is going to be Adam Gardner leading the way, because he doesn't get that draft help, but everyone else in the field trying to make their own recovery run to move forward. As here's 21st and 22nd position drivers of Christopher Simon and Charles Leclerc. Leclerc had a major slide on this most recent restart. 17 lost about 5 positions, but trying to make the march forward and tacking along with the 27 of Simon. And Simon's getting a good picture in front of him. Another pot of drivers that have been racing back and forth. This is 14th back to 20th that are on top of one another, racing back and forth. You got Leroy Koblitz, as well as seeing a couple of other drivers getting mixy, and also one of our biggest movers of the race, Kevin Brown in the 33, able to finally race all the way through. He's been doing a lot of start and park to start out this season, and it's good to see the yellow machine out there and moving forward after deciding not to qualify.
That it is. I mean, a great job by him, and he's probably had a fun race getting to make all the passes, so that's what you love to see it for him. Is right now you can see the stack up of drivers right here, and it's just different little packs. It's funny how these races are like this. Is now you're gonna have Cameron King here look to the inside again 3 wide, but just these different packs here is now Horn starting to make his way up with the fresh tires.
As Horn's trying to move forward, as Cracked in the top 10, currently 7th, trying to move forward into the top 5 if possible. As this is a group from 2nd back to around 13th is this group of drivers that we're seeing right now on screen, as 98 utilizing those extra bit of tires. And for those that have not pitted for tires, they've been out there for 27 laps. On the other hand, for Horn, he's been out there for just around 12 laps of green flag racing. So 98's advantage is massive when you think about how long they've been running and the heat cycle that everyone else has gone through. And that's what's enabling this 98 really to pick and choose the outside lane, the low line, anywhere to place himself to move forward. And now up to 6th, and soon to be taking the likes of 5th and 4th position.
That it is. This is some excellent racing, and the crazy thing about it for Gardner out front is, again, it's just everybody racing so hard here. They're not really getting away from each other. And look at this, the big move from Horn, and it is showing that tires do matter. They do matter in my opinion, but they're not, you know, a crazy substantial amount better. That's really what it comes down to. It really just helps you that little bit more to have that much more maneuverability in the pack here. And Horn is in the, I guess you could say, hornet's nest right now. He is trying to find his way any way around, and he could have a good spot here to get up top here. Can get in front of Kevin Thompson, but Thompson says, nope, I'm closing the door.
Door is shut. 6 goes down, opening up for another chance if Horn can find an opening to place himself. It looks like he'll stay in the middle, trying to cycle his way to get to the inside quarter panel and also utilize the draft from the 6 machine. Is Horn, and he saw Kevin Thompson shut the door, says, I'm not going to work with you. And Jamie Horn now going to be up to 5th place. This 98 fell back slightly on the initial start, and showing these tires are working fabulous for him to continue to move forward. Mike Leftwich in 2nd position, 29 laps in the books. This field still all on top of one another, but the big thing of question is the fact that Adam Gardner still 1.3 seconds ahead, but slowly being ran down by this field. And Gardner, I think by the time that we've been seeing the tire wear fall off, how this pack racing of drafting is helping out as we're right on board with the 58 machine of Shell, who's right in the mix and mingle, as also we're seeing the 6th machine of Mike going to be Leftwich starting to fall back.
This has been so fun to watch right now, as all of them are just so stacked on top of each other. Really can't find anywhere to go. Hayes has now found his way to the back bumper. McMahon up here up the front of the pack. You can see from Snell, I mean, the 58, there is just nowhere to go. It's all stacked up.
I want to say thank you to everyone that's joining with us. If you're just joining now, 30 laps in the books. We've had 1 caution that was back on lap 10. These drivers have been green ever since. And right now, it's going to be Adam Gardner leading the way. We've got a split decisions on drivers. About 7 decided not to pit under our first caution back at lap 10. The rest of the field decided to either top off on fuel, take 2 tires, or take 4. The one driver that took 4 right now is Jamie Horn in the 98 machine in 4th place. But our leader over a second ahead, but being ran down quickly as the rest of the field trying to figure out what strategies they're aiming for, as pit stops right around the corner for this field, as everyone's making their decision on where they feel the most comfortable right now.
And they are. Pit stops all around the corner, and with lap 32 being this lap, I want to see if you can try to stretch it if you're someone like Adam Gardner out front. Maybe that's even why his lap times have slowed down so much. He might have been saving fuel here, because they are catching up so fast to him now with Horn, who's got up the 2nd with those fresher tires. This is going to be a very interesting time to see when everybody can make it here when it comes to pits.
A couple of drivers that were not able to get to that window we were talking about, Steve Gerber as well as David Halsey, both going to be hitting pit road. And Gardner will stay out for that extra lap that we've been talking about is so crucial to hit. Lap 33 to 34. If you can get to lap 35, that would be even better. But over the radio, it looks to be Steve Minomo saying that he's going to be entering pit road for the 9 machine back in 12. As we also have another cluster of 5 drivers that are aiming for pit road here, either this lap or the next, as staying out for another lap, going to be Horn, who, I mean, Horn's looking great. Gardner's out there, and the 56 staying out for another lap is massive, but Chris Leftwich, Mike Leftwich, and Steven Bonomo could not make it another lap.
That they could not. We'll see if Gardner can stretch another one, because 34 still, for me, that means he's going to have to do another run of 34, and he won't have a caution that time. And he's saying pitting in. So just showing you right there, their strategy is going to be tough to make work for these guys, Sam.
And for these drivers that are pitting, also on the radio going to be Justin McMahon, but if you're pitting, you got to make sure you have friends with you. We talk about how important the draft is and having a pack with you. It allows you to save fuel as well as run faster. And right now, you got to make sure you hit your marks, as Gardner, McMahon both hit pit road this go around, staying out for another lap. Nicholas Shell is one of the few drivers, and right now it's the only driver that did not pit under the caution that is still out on track.
That's a huge for Nicholas Shell, because like I said, he needs to pretty much do about 35 laps, and that would put it in the ballpark for him to be able to do it, in my opinion. And right now, he should be in a better position than everybody else when it comes to this. But what a job by a lot of guys. I've watched someone drive up through the field, though, Sam. I've just noticed Gary Clune up the 2nd is, look, here comes that 58. As we talk about, he did it better than anybody, though.
Did better, going to hit his marks, enter pit road, and so far, everyone that's had to make their stop has been a clean pit stop and ready to go for themselves. But Gary Clune, like we were talking about, able to move forward, started back in 24th position, up to 2nd, biggest mover right now. is going to be Christopher Norris. Going to be Kevin Brown, back in 8th place. But second biggest mover is this 45.
That it is. Gary Kloon was way back at one point. I was watching him battle. I can't remember which driver personally it was. It was farther back. And he's just slowly, methodically just worked his way right through. And, again, showing why he was the Rookie of the Year last season. And, with that twisted axle working good, they just seem to have a really good handle on their setups.
Talking to the twisted axle group on their strategy calls, Las Vegas, they really felt hurt on the fact of different strategy calls for themselves and being on the back foot of deciding not to pit, watching the other competitors pit on that early pit stop. They now changed their attempt, pitted early with that early caution, and now they're in kind of the catbird seat here for this run. And seeing Kloon, also Thompson, Campbell, that group is looking so strong right now up front. And for Jamie Horn, who took 4 tires, I think that's what's enabling the 98 to still be attached to this front group that I think if maybe the 98 didn't take tires, could have fallen off, way off of where he's running right now.
Could have very well fallen off for sure. And you can see this back group here. This is around the 4 of Bill Gentry back here in the 10th position. He's got the likes of Nicholas Atwood, Christopher Simon, and Atwood, if I'm not mistaken, I believe he also, when he came down, no, sorry, it was a 7.3 second stop. So maybe taken 2, I believe, not 4 like Horn did, but he still hasn't made that ground up like others has. So we'll see if Atwood can come back from that points penalty, because he's definitely going to need those positions. There's a wreck off of 4.
Wreck off of 4, and it's going to be sending Christopher Norris, it looked like, down into pit road. Driver in the grass, slowly trying to get back on course, trying to figure out the exact name of that driver. Yellow flag's out, and it looks to be the 17 of Richard Leclerc. Major issues for himself, as he'll be spun off the nose of the 7 machine of Gary Armio, as drivers were entering pit road and trying to make an early stop. Instead, the caution flag rips out, and actually I think for those drivers that were entering pit road, timing might have been perfect for them.
It very well might have been. I think the likes of Christopher Norris, I think he'll come out right in front of the leader. So, but we'll see. Right here, looking at this, it's going to be neck toe between those two. Is this going to be Richard Leclerc spinning? And he spun into the grass here. I was kind of surprised for this yellow to be thrown, just because he got it going pretty quickly and nothing else happens, and they decided to throw the yellow. So, interesting call there.
Yeah, I think it was because the possibility of the 17. If the yellow flag wasn't thrown, he was going to try to get back on course, and had him been thrown yellow for that incident. And it's going to reset everyone here. And for those drivers that had to pit under yellow, this now kind of takes away that advantage they had. Zach, it's now going to reset everyone that just came into pit road. They're now going to get the wave around most likely, but they might not, because of Christopher Norris and Kevin Brown still being on the lead lap and making a pit stop. That could trap majority of those drivers that just came in and made that green flag pit stop.
I think that's what's going to happen. I don't see the likes of Gardner. The only thing I'll say is Norris and them are behind Gardner, so they are still a lap down to them. So I think they should be good. The likes of Kevin Brown still is behind them also, so they should, in theory, get the wave, as Brown looks like he's coming down. So Christopher Norris is going to be the only one that does stay out here. So they should cycle him to the lead, I believe. But these other drivers should all get the wave, as I think now Adam Gardner gets that lucky dog.
Gets the lucky dog and able to get back onto the lead lap. Rest of those drivers going to be hoping for the waiver out to be gifted to themselves. We're 41 laps in the books, and that will complete one of the pit stops for majority of these drivers. They got one more still until this race is done, as we are going to step away for our first commercial break of the night. I want to say thank you to everyone that's been joining with us here this evening, watching the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series for the Shoney's 200 here this evening for race number 6 of the season. Thanks for joining us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We'll be back for more racing action right after this. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Shoney's 200 at Auto Club for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series here for 2024 Season 1. Christopher Norris stays out on track, and he'll be taking the lead down into turn number 3. Rest of the field just stopped off on fuel and tires, and now going to be aiming for one more stop before this race is done. Who can figure out how to get up front? Well, Kevin Thompson's trying his best, but the rest of the field, 2, 3 wide, trying to take every position. And here we go. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Zach Hall, Robert Moyer Jr. running production in the background. And Zach, in a blink of an eye, Norris led a lap, but Thompson's back up front.
Back up front for the 6 machine. And, as he's into the outside wall, as now the 83 is going to come back around here down the back straightaway, but little lapse of judgment there from the 6 as he gets up into the outside wall now. Here comes the 82 of Matthew Campbell. Here's Michael Hayes. Here's the 98 of Horn. And tell you what, our 3 picks, they're all around each other.
They're all up front. They're all around one another. Who can find themselves in victory lane is the question, or could it be someone else that we didn't even put on our picks list as the field continues to rage on? Who will find themselves in the victory lane? This race is so wide open on who's the favorite. You can say that the Twisted Axle group really is the top dogs to watch out for, but really with this most recent caution, it brings a lot of drivers back as couple into the wall. That's going to be Cameron King into the wall. Dashing down below, that's going to be Gary Clune, who loses a lot of time for the 45. And everyone else just trying to hold their breath and make it through as the drivers had to take the wave around. Also, there's a group of 8 to 10 drivers that were trapped 1 lap down that had to take a wave around to get back on the lead lap. So they're on slightly older tires, but based on what we've seen here tonight so far, their race isn't completely over, but they got a lot of work they want to get back up front.
Yeah, they do. This is turned into quite an interesting race now with how the strategy played out that early stop and people having to take the wave. They're in interesting positions. Luckily for them, though, again, not too much of a tire difference when it comes to that. We've seen Jamie Horn definitely use his advantage of it, but it's not a crazy difference between tires when it comes to the racing here. So I think guys that took the wave around won't be in too bad a position, especially because we have
starting in the middle of all this, Adam Gardner, who was leading the way before he had to go into pit road and get service done. Other drivers in the mix here. We see the 27 in black Shoney's machine. Simon trying his best to get forward, Atwood, and many of others in the middle of this field. This is 10th on back that's in this shot. And this has been the Hornets' nest to watch out for. They have been just clustered up. It's so difficult to take any real advantage watching this group. They're just so compact that any slip up, one driver makes a mistake. Maybe one just decides to cut down low too soon or to up high too fast, and you're going to find yourself spun around. That's what brought out our most recent caution. A little bit of net code also in the mix, but as we ride on board and get a sense of what it's like seeing this field in front, Chris Leftwich, who at one moment was battling up front, now back at 16. He just sees a wall of drivers, and you have to pick and choose on how you're going to advance forward.
This is like 5 o'clock traffic right here. If you're coming home from work and you're like, which lane do I pick? Hopefully I pick the right one that doesn't get stacked up, because right now Leftwich, he's trying to find his way forward because he's just stacked up behind the 78, but he's in all the way up against the wall where the 78 enters lower, so he'll slap the racetrack, and here comes the 60 of Michael Leftwich. So again, just a wall of cars and some perfect racing going on as nobody can find the space to go forward.
Nobody can find a space to go forward, but in front of these guys, it certainly looks a little bit more terrifying than looking to the side as Mike Leftwich just blasts his way forward, sees an opening, sees which lane's moving faster, and kind of trusts that that's the groove that you want to be involved with. That's going to continue to move forward. And if you've got a big enough run on the backstretch, you give a bump, and that's a risky place to give a bump on someone's rear right. That is probably the biggest no-no zone when you're giving a driver a bump.
Close. About as close as he's going to get there. So, yeah, here we go. He's going to go up the middle now. Leftwich making big moves here and trying to get a little side draft on the 27. And look, he's going to be able to pull him back. That just shows you how powerful the aerodynamics from the front quarter panel to the left front of these cars are. It's just amazing to see how much pull you can get by just getting up close to someone's rear end like that.
Again, these are the drivers just outside of our top 10, as Cameron King going to get a little bit of a contact in 10th place and will be set to the inside. But the top 5 have really got themselves away from the rest of the field, and soon to be our top 2 gapping away from the rest of the field. as Kevin Thompson up front with Michael Hayes. They're in a comfortable zone. And then it's the battle for third place between Christopher Norris, Horn, and Campbell on top of one another. We're halfway through tonight's race, and it's been a pleasure to give you all the action here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. They continue to be side by side all around. We have to say thank you to our amazing sponsors that help out for the Shoney's Racing Leagues. First things first is Shoney's. Shoney's has been a great partnership with the Doghouse Racing League. Shoney's is today's all-American kitchen, open daily for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Shoney's guests can count on quality, delicious food along with warm, friendly service. Stop by one of the West Virginia locations to try out their freshly prepared legendary breakfast bar, and don't forget to take home a whole strawberry pie. Shoney's, delicious food and friendly service since 1997. Also, in partnership with the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series, it's Group 6. Rev up your brand's potential with Group 6 at every turn of the Doghouse Racing season. As your creative marketing powerhouse, we're here to fuel up your success, accelerate your impact, and steer your brand towards victory. Group 6, where every race is an opportunity to outshine and outperform. Discover more at group6inc.com. And finally, if you'd like to help out the Shoney's Racing League in a financial way, well, go on over down to the description down below this video, and you can check out the Fanatics link. Fanatics is the global leader in licensee sports merchandise. If you're looking for your team's favorite team apparel, jerseys, hardware, and hard goods, well, Fanatics is with you. They're partnered up with all professional sporting leagues with the NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, NASCAR, NLS, and the PGA, as well as hundreds of collegiate sports, and serving with the biggest global soccer clubs. Fanatics can get you covered in the right outfit for your sporting event. Doghouse earns commissions when you use the link down in the description. Doghouse uses those commissions to help fund the league. Thank you so much to Fanatics, Group 6, and Shoney's for all that they do to the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series as these drivers continue to put on a great show. Zach, this has been incredible racing, but I think the big thing for note, we were talking about it before the caution flag came out, pit stops were just around the corner. The time of that yellow still puts them in a decent window to work with, but kind of makes things a little bit more narrowed down, I would say, on the window you're looking for to make your final stop.
That it does. It definitely narrows it down. And even the guys that took the wave who couldn't get that far on fuel, that caution helps them again also. So that just puts them in a better position in my thorough opinion. And if they can go 34 this time, they should be able to go 33 to the end. So we could see those last pit stops happen right around 66. So that could be here within the next 11 laps. So some cars will be have to pull it off, but I think others up front especially will probably be around that 70 to maybe even 72 marker. So we could see a little bit longer, but pit stops are not far away, and this group this stacked up, that could cause some issues.
Oh boy, as we're riding on board with Gerber, seen in front of him, Joe McKnight having a brush to the outside. Well, they got really accordioned up there off the exit of turn 4. Keep it together, still keep their foot in it. These vehicles that have been built like tanks continue to ride forward. But man, we almost saw them running in and over one another off the exit. In trouble though, gonna be spinning in front. It's Leroy who gets spun around in the 42 as they got squeezed 3 wide off the exit of turn 2, and it just felt like it was gonna happen at any moment there, Zach, and it finally crushes at lap 56.
That it does, man. What a tough break that is for these guys. Looks like that 56 going around, or not, sorry, the 56. The drivers farther back in that group going around there, that was some major contact in that group.
That was going to be the 42 of Leroy Koblitz that got spun around for himself and was just getting squeezed with Halsey, and also going to be Gary Clune off the exit of turn 2 and just fighting back and forth. You're going to see here those 3 drivers already on top of one another just going into turn 1. And even off the exit of turn 4, they were getting mixy with one another, but it's the squeezing action off the exit of the corner.
That it is, just squeezed together, and this racing was tough. And you can see the lines just came straight together in the 42. He's the one that got the short end of the stick there, is going to send him spinning down the racing surface, and did a good job actually saving that thing and gathering it up though, man.
gathers it up, got this quick spin, and reset for Leroy there, and the rest of the field get to take a deep breath, calm down for a quick moment before we reset once again. But another tough decision here for the field. You come into pit road, top off on fuel, use a set of tires for some. Majority of the drivers still have 2 sets of tires to work with as we've crossed over into the second half of this race. And majority of the field making the hard decisions, Zach. They are coming into pit road. A handful of drivers staying out. This is an interesting call for a lot of these drivers because now with everyone coming into pit road, it's do you take tires or no tires on this pit stop?
That's, I've been sitting here questioning a lot of different strategies to be played, but I think you could technically just come here, get fuel, top it off, and then get 4 tires when you come down later. But I think what you do, I think the strategy here, just thinking out my brain, if I was out there racing, I think you take 4 here, you top the car completely off, then you come down and just take a little bit of fuel or maybe just right side tires, because I know the lefts don't actually wear a lot here tonight. It's mostly just those right side tires that are wearing. So I think that could be the winning strategy. We'll just see how it plays out because it's not going to be much fuel they need here. Maybe about 10 laps of fuel.
Well, one driver taking a gamble, and that will be the 92 machine of Cameron King. I'm taking another look at it, but a very short stop for the 92, deciding to just go into pit road, top off on fuel only for Cameron King. The rest of the drivers that entered pit road, 4 tires and fuel and a little bit of extra damage repair for deeper in the field. But up front, Joe McKnight as well as Christopher Simon staying out on track. They decided not to come into pit road, and they're going to be on the strategy of older tires. But seeing another group of drivers hit pit road, I think this is the cluster they're thinking, you know what, let's top off again on fuel and get a little bit more repairs done.
I'd have to agree, Sam. I think why not? If anything, you put more fuel in the car, that allows you to go with a little bit of a different strategy. Less time on pit road, take less fuel. It could very well play out in your favor. So I like the call from a lot of guys coming down here, getting any little bit of work they need done, especially if you're farther back out in the field. You got nothing to lose, man. Now it's going to take some strategy to gain some position. So go out there, figure out what strategy is going to work the best for you, and utilize it. So now it's with the time of this caution, put everybody in a tricky situation.
And we had the difference of tire wear. It was only about 10 laps difference on tire wear. This is going to be a 17 lap difference on tires between Simon and McKnight back to the rest of the field, who just came in for 4 tires and fuel. So it's going to be seeing what the true difference of pace is going to be between these drivers, and also the comfortability. We have not seen Joe McKnight nor Simon really up front in this challenging position. This has been a duel between Kevin Thompson, Michael Hayes. We at one moment had Gerber up there challenging. Jamie Horn's been quick. Christopher Norris has been up front, but did start to fall back with Campbell. See if any of these drivers have made adjustments for these final 40 laps here tonight for the Shoney's 200 at Auto Club. 200 miles is the distance that they're trying to achieve. And let's see if we're going to keep it green to the end of this one, as green flag is out for Joe McKnight. Simon, they take off, but it's going to be the inside row with the better run. Christopher Norris, Kevin Thompson trying to get by this 27 as quickly as possible.
That they're trying to figure out a way to get past him and get in position that they need to be in. As Simon's gonna be able to fight strong, because again, those tires don't fall off much, especially the cooldown phase he's into the wall. That almost puts him into Michael Hayes for Norris, but they're gonna get past Simon, who had a big loss of speed there, and also a major motor, I think, for Matthew Campbell back farther.
Campbell's going to be losing touch. He was back in 6th position, now going to be back to 11th. They might be even losing more, as they'll be side by side with other drivers extremely wide through 3 and 4. But the 82, he's got the speed to recover from this moment, but a big loss as we now are officially 40 laps to go here tonight. And Joe McKnight still leads the way up front. Kevin Thompson, Michael Hayes, Christopher Norris going to be your front runners, as the 27, as Simon starting to fall back to the clutches of other drivers in his front pack. But you're seeing these drivers, this group, from about 10th, from that of 11th on back, still side by side, and a little bit of contact further behind, though, as drivers were right on top of one another. I believe that was the 58 machine that made some contact of Shell, just bouncing around for this field.
That it is. This field is getting aggressive right now. They know what's on the line. They got to get going, and everybody kind of find their way forward. And they know once you get farther into the run, it gets so stacked up with everybody struggling and everybody fighting for that outside line to kind of draft past each other that you have to get passes done early if you're going to do it. So I think it's where we're seeing some aggressive moves as one driver way up the racetrack there.
Way up the track, and then even up front, a 3-wide pass for the lead was made, and it's going to allow Kevin Thompson and Michael Hayes already get by McKnight, and now it's going to be the newcomer, Cameron King, who's also kind of had his own moments of being jostled around. The 92, who just topped off on fuel under that last run. He's now in the mix of these drivers that are up front.
That he is, and another thing we got to factor into this run right here, guys, we have one set of tires left for most people out here. So if you do come down here early in pit, say around that 66 to 70 marker, you come down, take your final set of tires, and we can caution, you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, you're going to be in some major trouble to watch out for, and those drivers that didn't pit, such as the Christopher Simon, Joe McKnight, I believe that they also just topped off on fuel under their first stop. So both of those drivers still have 2 sets of tires to work with. So if we get a quick caution here, they're not in the worst position. They need to, use a set. I would imagine they want us to stay green until lap 70 to put a lot more drivers in that questionable position when to use their last set. As Cameron King trying to push forward with McKnight behind him, Norris as well trying to make this group move quickly in a forward motion as Kevin Thompson, Michael Hayes right back to where they were for the last couple of caution flags up front. I mean, the two dueling for the win.
That they are. I mean, that's been the constant, I think, for this race is that 6 and that 22. They've been controlling pretty well, but look at the 92 Cameron King. I watched him, too, on the longer run and one of at the very end of that first run. He was very quick, so don't count this 92 out yet. He could be in position here, especially because I think a lot of what's going to come down to the end of this race is timing your strategy right, because very well we need to have that one more pit stop still, but I think we're going to get some type of yellow.
Fastest driver that last go around of the drivers that are inside our top 5, Cameron King, by 900ths of a second over Kevin Thompson. So the 92 certainly has the speed. Overall pace, Gary Clune in the 45 was the fastest that last lap in 9th position, and he just put down his fastest lap of the race on that last lap. So Clune coming back with some speed and doing a similar move that he did during the last long green flag run, where he started further on back, but slowly and methodically marched his way forward.
He's definitely got a quick car, but the thing his problem is right now is he's got, of course, left foot diving to the inside here, making it very tough on him. And they almost made contact on the entry there. And now he's going to have even the possibility of 14 trying to jump to his outside. And this is a tough position to be in because you want to go forward, but you're going to have someone always attacking you at this racetrack, and that puts a big stress on you trying to go forward.
Curious if we could bring up the weather once again, because these drivers have just gotten so much faster, and looking at how the weather conditions have changed here tonight, gotten a little bit cooler on the track temp, just 1 degree, but the wind's been still swirling. That humidity, we talked about it during our commercial break, has been changing from 94% down to 92, almost at 90 at one moment. It's back up to 93. Curious on how this track has been ebbing and flowing, because I'm watching these lap times, Zach. Drivers are putting down their fastest laps of the night for the past 3 laps, just rattling them off in the middle of the field.
It is, I think it's go time for a lot of people. They've no longer trying to save any little bit of fuel or tires. They know that now they have to just go as quick as possible, and they have one stop to end this race. So I think you're going to see a lot of this here as these lap times flash onto the board here as people just continue to find speed in these tires. It's an amazing factor because this track is known as like a cheese grater to the tires, but it just seems like the speed stays in these vehicles.
And then also thinking about how this track and car combo has changed over the last couple of years. Even on iRacing, and at one moment it was a train. You couldn't even go these multiple different grooves. You kind of had to run the top, otherwise you were going to lose all the track position. I mean, Zach, I know for yourself, you've seen the ebbs and flow of this car and track combination, but I think you got to give that huge contributing factor to the fact that this is an open setup league, and it gives these drivers a chance to try different moves as King and Norris bump draft their way, trying to catch up to the top 2.
I think this is a great job by Christopher Norris here as we see his help to that 92. they want to stay in touch with those front two. They cannot let those front two just completely drive away. So I like the teamwork aspect of, hey, we might not be teammates actually, but I'm going to push you because that's faster than me going side by side with cautions out.
It's a big one in the middle of the field. It's going to be seen that 82 and others still piling in on the entry turn 3. Campbell, also going to be Gerber, and many of others piling in, and it was that second pack, just aggressive moves all around. It looked to be Campbell as well as Chris Leftwich that are the major drivers caught up in it. And for the 82 of Campbell, he got the worst of it through the whole entire wreck.
That he did. This is going to be a big hit for sure. Like you said, in a big instance, you can see Leftwich in the 8 up top. Here's the 60 of Mike Leftwich Sr. there up top. And all you can see just the hit that it takes, and huge hit there again for the 82 on the nose. And then there comes the rest of the field. Those are what really does the major damage.
And for Matthew Campbell, his race is done. That machine crab legging terribly. And as we ride on board with the 10, Steve Gerber, see what reaction time these drivers even had to slow down. Because, I mean, looking at it, it looked like they had a couple of seconds to slow down, but these drivers are going so fast on the backstretch. Some have time to react, others don't. And you're seeing the field, you think there's going to be enough space, and there just wasn't for either driver of Anderson or Gerber to get through that mess.
No, there wasn't, Sam. Just no room and huge hits. And man, for Gerber, you know, and Campbell, both were having excellent races earlier in this event. Look at that car just walking sideways. We actually had a car spin out on pit road, actually.
Driver trying to get themselves turned around, and I believe that was the 33 that might have had an issue. I'm taking another look at who got spun around. Drivers were getting a little bit too mixy with where they were trying to move for themselves getting forward.
That they were, and pit road very busy here, and also some people staying out, of course, but looks like Mark Dumont actually the only one that does stay out. But interesting strategy calls here, Sam. Looks like Michael Hayes, Christopher Norris, I believe Nicholas Atwood also. Yeah, Nicholas Atwood, Gary Kloon, Justin McMahon. A lot of fuel only stops here, and I like this strategy because guess what? They have one set of tires, guys. You know, we could see a few more cautions here, and that extra set of tires could be a big factor.
There's a couple of drivers, Zach, I think that might have used their final set. Kevin Thompson has pitted 4 times, and he took 4 tires here. Also another driver that has had their 4th stop and taking tires on this run of Cameron King. Joe McKnight taking tires, but he still had a set to give up. Other drivers that took their set, Bill Gentry taking a set, and then deeper in the field, Kevin Brown, and also Gary Armio taking a set of tires. That could be their last set with 30 laps to go. I mean, 30 to go. By the time that maybe someone thinks about using their final set, it's going to be so far along, and the advantage you're going to be getting is so minuscule. I think taking your final set now isn't the worst decision to make, but it certainly in the back of your mind makes you maybe overthink if we get that overtime attempt. But if we go into overtime, we only have that one attempt.
I look at it like a numbers game here. You know, how many people took 4 tires versus how many people took no tires and fuel. If majority take that 4 tires, I think that's the right call because, you know, you're going to have those people stay out with you. They don't have a set of tires along with you. They're for sure staying out. You're going to have them, so to say, as a defense or a buffer zone. But I think a majority of the field there did mostly take fuel, so it's going to add a little bit of a factor where they're not going to have as big of a buffer zone, in my opinion, to play with if we do get those yellows and they get to utilize those tires. And I tell you, I still think tires, they're not worth a lot, but those couple tenths in the draft can be that big of a difference. And we could very well see a crazy ending if that's the way it comes down to. But it's definitely fun to see how the split strategy is going to go here.
With less than 30 laps to go on We Go Green, I want to say thank you again to everyone that's been watching us since we've been live streaming tonight's race. You're watching the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. Tonight is the Shoney's 200 at Auto Club. Big shout out to everyone that's been watching and chatting down in the broadcast, as we've got Chris out there who's been joining us for the last couple of weeks. Also have Brandon P, who's hoping to be racing out on track hopefully here soon for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. And as well, B-Mac, we love to have you out there in the chat, rooting for those twisted axle drivers that look to be quick, and they're hoping for a good launch, but a lot of checkup on the outside and not take off immediately when they wanted to. And the drivers so accordioned up. This is the closest they've been, Zach, down into turn number 1 as we're back to green flag racing.
We are in his 3 wide, the 83 on the bottom, Mark Dumont in the middle, and he's the one that's going to slide back as Hayes and the 83 of Christopher Norris come off the corner side by side as they're 3 wide for second on back.
For second on back, they try to keep it together. Third now going to be seen Atwood. Gary Plume moving forward. Justin McMahon now into the mix. Kevin Thompson losing a little bit of touch, and Dumont still stuck in the middle in the 14, just trying to hold on steady as close as he can and trying to side draft his way to stay close. But those older tires and not feeling as much comfortable. The 14 is losing touch quickly from the lead back to 7th in 1 lap. As the field starting to feel the pressure once again. Every restart from here on out is going to feel a lot more intense because every single time we get a caution, it just chips away at the amount of laps and time you have to move forward. But it's Hayes, Norris, they're doing well up front, but the rest of the field trying to figure out where to place themselves to go forward.
But they are, man, and it's stacking up. And I believe also, go back and look to make sure some of these guys need to take 2. Gary Clooney, the 45, took left side tire, so I'm interested to see how that's going to affect his car, as right now he's got the 6 of Kevin Thompson diving to his inside, looking down and get by Dumont. Thompson, great patience shown there, could have really, kind of lost his mind up there, stuck on that top side, but now is really starting to charge forward.
Trying to charge forward, so a slight blink for the 19 of Atwood. Atwood will stay low as Justin McMahon stays on the high side. These 2 drivers that are side by side, I mean, they're the 2 drivers that got a massive 20-point deduction after last week, and now trying to really get all those points back with a great run here tonight. And not seeing Jonathan Jennings nor seeing St. Cours, this is your opportunity to get back into the fight for second in points, as Michael Hayes trying to grab that first win of the season for the 22, who's been so consistent. He's finished inside the top 10 every race this season as he continues to ride up front. But Kevin Thompson just seems to be the shark lurking in the background, slowly moving forward as now he tackles to get by his teammate of Atwood and looks to be the pass conquered and made as the 6 slots into 4th.
Great job there by the 6, making that pass on Atwood, and that's going to allow him just now to focus his sights that much forward. And if you're Kevin Thompson, you have the fresher tires, let them come in evenly. Do not overuse them because this is also your last set. No reason to go out there and overwork them when you have the advantage over the drivers around you. Right now, his goal has got to be just keep these guys in sight, manage your equipment, because if a yellow does come out, you might have to hold off a late barrage from some of these tires.
And the big driver to watch out for is Dumont and Gardner. Gardner somehow holds on as they closed in on the exit of the corner. It's going to kill all the momentum for the 56, allowing Gentry to just slice down the middle. And whoa, that was a great change right in the perfect moment to see. Slight contact, and oh no, Clune, oh, Gardner not going to be lucky that go around as he slams into the outside wall. We'll stay green for now, waiting for the admins to make the call for the yellow flag, and it looks like we'll continue to stay green, and Gary Clune gets a terrible side of this. Same for Gardner, as we'll stay green with 78 laps in the book. But here's what happened to Clune after the hard impact to the inside.
Here we go, stacking up off the outside is Dumont and Gardner, who got into it. Then it's going to be 3 wide here down the back straightaway, and the contact there. And then here we head into 4. It's going to be interesting to see exactly what happens. The 45 up the racetrack, and 2 cars just going for the same spot. And the 51 up into Gardner.
Clune didn't slide into the inside wall, but lost so much momentum and time, just continued to fall backwards. And for Adam Gardner, he's going to have to go into pit road with so much damage that he's dealing with, but banking on a caution flag to come out, it did not, as the drivers see almost less than 20 laps to go. And the cycle of drivers on fresh tires compared to new continue to march forward. And looking at the drivers that got fresh rubber, Bill Gentry was one of those in the 4. That's why he was able to make those big moves and was willing to tackle going forward as quickly as he was. And here's Cameron King trying to stay patiently moving forward as he gets by Christopher Norris and Atwood, trying to run down Kevin Thompson, which Thompson has already slotted himself up to 2nd place, towing along Justin McMahon.
That he has. They've really flown, and changed up the positions here, so to say, is King. You see here in the 92, he's also came down and getting 4 tires, so he's in the same position as Thompson. So he's trying to run down those drivers ahead of him and see if he can catch the draft of McMahon, Thompson, and Hayes up front.
Then we have a Steven Manomo fan out there. Steven going to be all the way back in 23rd position. Lost a lot of time and ground, and being the first car 1 lap down, needs a caution to get back in the mix. But for the drivers up front, the battle for the lead is underway, and just as quickly as I say it's underway, it's over. Thompson to the point and trying to pull away with 20 laps to go here tonight.
I think that was going to always be a tough job for Hayes to hold off those tires. So we'll see if we get that yellow to allow him to have an opportunity to use the tires himself. But right now, I think his best bet, just try to hang on.
As these drivers continue to battle, now going to be seeing Kevin Thompson going down the inside, expecting drivers to snake with him, and no one did. They just continued to stay straight. Actually enables Hayes to get the better run to the inside as the 22 older tires just topped off on fuel. The caution that happened 10 laps ago. Well, Kevin Thompson, on the other hand, decided to take 4 tires. That's where the main difference is at. But Cameron King is going to be the first real contender to Thompson. The 92 has been a lot more patient than the 6. He's been willing to kind of take his time to move forward. But has Cameron King taken too long to catch up and maybe bite and fight for the lead up front?
That's going to be the huge question I think everybody here is going to ask themselves is, can King set up something here to go fight that 6 machine? Because I think the older tires are just going to have a tough time. I think you'll see the likes of Hayes, McMahon, these guys keep up almost with Thompson just due to the draft, but they are just hanging on in my opinion. And if you're King here, you're just looking to continue forward as he's got the bottom looking rolling really good.
Cameron King continues to stay inside, trying to hit his marks to save these tires. The other drivers that took 4 tires and fuel under our last caution flag going to be Bill Gentry, Joe McKnight, as well as those are the main 2, and Kevin Brown. Those are the drivers, though, that are over 4 seconds back from our leader. They're kind of just saving their tires, waiting for a caution flag to come out, and maybe they'll have a chance to fight back, because we've now officially lost another driver for tonight's race. We've said goodnight to Adam Gardner, Matthew Campbell, Chris Leftwich, Tyler Millette, and Eric Warman. But up front, the fight is still on who's going to find themselves in victory lane. And Cameron King still swamped and stuck, trying to move up to 3rd, and finally able to do so is Atwood smashes the outside wall of the 2.
Big hit for Atwood, who's done a good job of just keeping up with this front lead group and with the older tires, and has been, doing an excellent job. But getting into that wall, that's definitely not what he wants to do. He's going to try to still hang on to this group, and it looks like does a good job through 3 and 4 to get right back in it, but
Caution.
yellow is out here.
Bill Gentry spun around, and that whole entire second pack caught up in a mess. And going to be the 4 and the 14 getting together right in front of the field, and multiple drivers going to be involved with this one.
Big changing incident right here, man. This is going to change up a lot of things here, and we'll get to see exactly how it played out. But yeah, there was a lot going on in that second pack, man. It just seemed like the 4 up here, I'm not sure exactly what happened. He was very slow, and how far the 14 came back from. I'm not sure if Bill was looking to pit there. I don't know. It just seemed very slow.
It was a bizarre, just random slow up by the 4, who should be good. I mean, he was one of the drivers that came in and took 4 tires and fuel under our last yellow. And we just don't know. Maybe he was just still trying to, like I said, trying to maybe protect those tires just in case we got a yellow. And Mark Dumont, who's on the extremely old tires, just shipped it in there, didn't stick, and came up, collected the 4. I mean, there's multiple different scenarios, but other drivers also getting collected with aftermath wrecks, going to be the 58 machine of Nicholas Schell, who also got some hard contact into the 33 of Kevin Brown. But there are multiple drivers, Jonathan Smith, Bill Gentry, Mark Dumont, Kevin Brown, all going to have to be dealing with required damage. They have to go into pit road. Also, Chris Leftwich was another driver that's going to be forced into pit road. And this was the caution that if you're Kevin Thompson, King, Joe McKnight, Shell, and a couple of others, you did not want to see.
Yep, this is what you were kind of safeguarding against. I will say they got a good line of defense here. This is 10 cars. There's 15 laps, 10 cars. Can Michael Hayes get a car per lap? That's going to be the question. I mean, it's so easy to get held up and lose little amounts of time, and the draft is so important that if you get separated, it's going to be hard to catch up even. So I don't think Thompson and King are in the worst positions possible. But man, oh man, if you're Hayes, the likes of Christopher Norris, Justin McMahon, you are going to have to go so hard here that you got to be careful not to really put yourself in a tough position to wreck yourself out of this race with some of the speed difference you might have.
But if we look back to last week at Phoenix, I know it's completely different tracks, Phoenix to Auto Club. The one driver that seemed to get through traffic a lot smoother than everyone else when there was a tire difference was Michael Hayes. I think of Kevin Thompson and Jonathan Jennings last week, they were more focused on battling one another. Hayes always seemed to be able to just focus on moving forward and picking off drivers last week at Phoenix. If I'm going to trust a driver, I think it might be Michael Hayes to be able to make this job work to cut through this field with the tire advantage he has.
Oh, I 100% agree with that, Sam. He's definitely did an excellent job there in Phoenix, and I'd love to see that there as he was my pick tonight. So would like to see the 22 bring it home, but we'll see how the tires work out. Again, they haven't been that big of a difference, but I think it'll just give him the ability to maneuver and have an advantage to where if he does have the opportunity, he can get to Kevin Thompson and try to make something happen. And Thompson, if those tires do get there, it's going to be tough for the older tires really to hold back anything for him. So it's going to be quite a show. I hope everybody's enjoyed the race tonight because it's been a wild one, Sam. They've been 3-4 wide, and I was expecting this with what I heard coming into tonight with some of the testing some drivers told me about.
I don't know if we're going to have time to bring up our race report, but if you're just joining us, welcome to the show. These drivers have been giving us a great one so far here at Auto Club as we are under our 5th caution of the day. We've had 13 lead changes, here tonight. These drivers have been swapping back and forth. A lot of different strategies have been given out. Some drivers on extremely old tires, around 30-lap old tires. Some are out there on just 16-lap old tires. Some just got tires now. And it's time to see who is going to be winning the Shoney's 200 for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series here at Auto Club. 13 laps to go here tonight. And if we get overtime, well, we'll only have one attempt. But up front, Kevin Thompson, also Cameron King, hoping that we stay green as we're back to racing action. The group we're watching out for, it's going to be the 22 of Michael Hayes and Christopher Norris deeper in the field. But for now, Thompson is gone by over 3, almost 4 car lengths ahead over Joe McKnight.
He better run, Sam. He's going to have to get out there and go quickly. And I think the problem for him also is it's tough to get away. We saw Gardner do it earlier in the race, but will Thompson be able to do something similar to what his teammate was able to do? I mean, they got speed in that twisted axle group, and he's definitely going to show every card they have available right now.
And how much was the 51 of Joe McKnight protecting those tires? Same for Nicholas Schell. They were backing off. They had already taken their tires under the last caution before the previous one we just had, and they were not pushing forward like King or Thompson. Do they have maybe a mix to bring up for themselves? For drivers, though, that just made their stop, Michael Hayes is already up to 8th place, battling side by side with Gary Clune for that 8th place position. He's able to slot forward. Christopher Norris is trying to follow in the tire tracks to go forward as well. Thompson, though, having slightly under a 2-second gap lead over those drivers. But Thompson knows he cannot allow King to catch up and slow down those drivers.
That he cannot, man. Here we go now. Hayes looking to get past Christopher Simon. He makes a big move on the front straightaway here, and he's going to bounce it to the inside to see Christopher Norris, Nicholas Atwood. They're trying to fight their way forward on the fresh tires also, but just haven't had the success of Hayes so far. Hayes once again showing his prowess to just be able to work through the field nice and smooth and not lose time, Sam. That's the critical thing. Some of these guys get side by side, but they lose time by not clearing that driver when they go to make a pass.
It just seems like for Michael Hayes, he's trusting to go inside, take every pass, get to someone's inside quarter panel on the entry of the corner, and just throw it down there. Trust that he's got the tires that will get him through and make the pass. Everyone else, they are not feeling as comfortable going to the inside down to that white line. They're risking going to the outside wall, hoping that they get a more bigger run off the exit of the corner instead of trying to make the pass through the center, where we're seeing that Hayes making each pass work for himself. Everyone else is trapped. And Hayes, once again, moving forward. He's already up to fourth, about to be up to third. But if you look at the timing, he is still at the same position he was at before he started making all these passes. He's not gained anything on our front three.
No, he is not. That's the thing, Sam, is I just watched last time Kevin Thompson. He's 2/10 off his fastest lap. So it just shows you, again, the tire's not a major amount of fall off. The thing I think that Hayes might need here is going to be, like we like to say, good old yellow, because if he gets that, he's going to be right behind the likes of Thompson and with the draft. That'll help him a ton. But I think you're going to see him definitely start to gain just a tiny bit here as we get closer.
And also, I think that's thing's going to help is that Cameron King is equal distance between where the 6 is and back to where the 22 is. This is going to be the pillar that kind of pulls along Michael Hayes on the straightaways. It's going to allow the 22 to close in on this gap. And it's going to be a lot of work. Currently, a second difference is Hayes back to Cameron King. And it's 1.6 seconds from Hayes to Thompson. 9 laps to go for this field. And it's 1.6 seconds each lap. It's been a 10th. And if you do the math, Michael Hayes will be about 4/10 off of Kevin Thompson by the time that this race is over. Thompson needs to find some wicked speed here quickly.
That he does, because the closer that Hayes gets, the more draft he's going to get off of them. That speed difference is going to drastically change. And I think also the longer we go in this run, the more heat that builds up in Thompson's tires, the more time Hayes is going to have to gain. So we could see that 10th advantage go to 2/10, maybe even 3/10 here at some point. Now is going to be the question, can Hayes hold this back? Because, again, another 2/10 chopped out, or 10th chopped out.
It's been a 10th. At one moment, it was a half a 10th of 2 laps ago. So it's already starting to see that acceleration of each lap mattering so much. But it's now to a point where Hayes is a half a second off King. Now, King has lost a lot more ground to Thompson, but this is enabling Hayes to get the better draft and run through the corners. And Kevin Thompson now losing any touch of some of that drafting help that would maybe help the 6 machine to go faster. And Hayes is now here for second. He's going to make this pass into turns 1 and 2. This has been a perfect charge for the 22. All the other drivers that have also on a similar stint to Hayes. First driver on that stint. It's going to be Justin McMahon back in 5th place. But this is the first time defensive move by King. He forces Hayes to go to the outside. That's not the fastest way we've seen Hayes make these passes, but he'll stay side by side and almost complete the pass into turn 3.
What a job by Hayes. That last time by, it was almost 4/10. It was 3.5 of a seconds of a difference. If that trend continues, he gets there, and he gets there quickly.
Well, here we go, Zach. We made our picks. I chose Kevin Thompson before qualifying began. You chose Michael Hayes on who was going to get the win with 5 laps to go. Really, it's anyone's game on who's going to get the win here tonight. Can Kevin Thompson figure out how to block a whole entire track, or does the tire advantage too far swung over to the 22 of Michael Hayes? The last lap, going to be 4/10 faster was Hayes over Thompson. With those numbers, Hayes is going to be right on that back bumper as they cross the line next time around.
Those old tires are starting to fall off. It's really starting to show their age. Even Cameron King, 39.82 that last time by. That's 7/10 slower than what the likes of Hayes is running. I think it's a only given time now between these two up front. And if the trends continue, Hayes should be side by side going into 3.
Down into turns 1 and 2. Kevin Thompson trying to put some dirty air on the front bumper of the 22 of Hayes. Hayes, though, he's got the willingness and the pleasure to choose whatever lane he feels the most comfortable to run. As a little bit of contact on the outside wall for King. He'll lose some more touch to these top 2. Other drivers, though, having trouble. And there's the caution flag that comes out. Trouble for drivers in the middle of the field. And it's Nicholas Schell and a couple of others trying to go 3 wide, and it went wrong as they bring out the late caution. That's going to send us to overtime.
Man, this is about to get wild, because that back group, I was watching it. I felt like something was going to happen at some point, and it really stacked up there. I think the 17 of Richard Leclerc got up into the wall, and that kind of caused a little bit of the stack up, but the 58 of Nicholas Schnell and then 3 wide, just it set up so this thing is that's the last caution before this one.
Yeah,
We've seen Bill Gentry there go around for the second time there, but that was unfortunate, guys, the last one. But the 58 there went around and others, and that really hurt a few cars, but we'll get to see it here, Sam.
there's the 17 bouncing in the outside wall. It kind of causes these drivers to squeeze onto one another, but there's Leroy and others piling in. And just like that, these drivers in the second pack bringing out the late caution. Excuse me, that was actually the third pack of drivers that is going to send us into overtime. And this race is wide open. This gives a heat cycle advantage. Kevin Thompson to cool off those tires and get back into the fight here.
Heavy damage for some guys, but it's giving others the fight. And I mean, like even Justin McMahon, Nicholas Atwood, Christopher Norris, they're on those fresh tires. Let's see what they have the opportunity to do now. Because if you're Kevin Thompson, the good thing about this, though, Sam, I will say this much. Thompson's tires are going to cool down. They will have better fire off speed. But so does the likes of Michael Hayes' tires cool down. So in my opinion, it's just kind of they're both going to get that equal benefit of tire speed. But man, oh man, how do you get around him is going to be the question. I think that's going to be the thing that Hayes has got to do best. But we'll see what maneuver he's going to try to pull off, because I think that 6 is going to make that car pretty wide.
I mean, I'd imagine Thompson's going to stay low. He's going to defend a dive bomb move from Michael Hayes. Yes, Hayes has made the outside lane work, but it takes another extra, about half a lap, sometimes a half a corner longer to complete a pass. And if Kevin Thompson would rather put the 22 in a position where he has to go the longer way around and hope for a better run on the backstretch, where the 6 at least has a chance to block and defend. But these drivers know this race, because we are now officially into overtime, this will be our last restart of the race. This race could finish under yellow if we get a caution flag under this first lap. But if we get a white flag, we complete the first lap without a yellow, this race is all about who can cross the line first. And getting that early caution, Zach, the advantage goes to Thompson because he could take off sooner. But man, a lot of these drivers, we've seen some massive checkups that we could be seeing that early caution. It could be coming down to Hayes has to get a perfect restart and then try to make the pass immediately.
It very well might have to. And the thing I look at this, if you're Thompson, if you get too big of a restart, you might have a problem too, because, you know, will you have McMahon come with you with the same style of restarts? This looks like he's going to restart up top here and give McMahon a chance possibly. Or does he get a big enough run to where Hayes gets the draft on him coming off a 2? It's such a tough situation. You almost treat this place like a super speedway with how close to wide open and how much the draft plays a factor with the lower horsepower on these next gen cars. You treat it like a speedway almost. So I think you might see Thompson not want to get the best of restarts, but he's definitely gonna want to try to at least be ahead going into turn 1, but not too far, I think.
Well, if you haven't already and you've been enjoying the show here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series, for the Shoney's 200, this is your last opportunity to hit that to hit that share button, to share this race and experience this last restart live. And if you're enjoying the broadcast in general, please hit that like button. It lets us know that you're enjoying the show and you want to see more of us as we cover 4 different leagues throughout the week. Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series is our last one that we cover throughout the week, and then we take the weekend off. So we a pleasure to be giving you the coverage of these amazing drivers, the amazing racing we get to see on Thursday night, but we also give you coverage Monday through Thursday. Do not want to miss any of the racing coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Hit that subscribe button and the bell notification button to be notified when we go live. But for these drivers up front, here we go. This is it, the final restart of the night. The Shoney's 200 at Auto Club. Already the drivers are bobbing and weaving, and Hayes gets the worst launch they can ask for. Thompson's gone. McMahon gets into Hayes, and the 22 and the 24 are side by side for second, as Thompson already has a 3/10 gap lead into turn 1.
I don't know if there was a little bit of wheel spin there, but maybe the 24 into the side of the door of the 22, that got him sideways. And this is stacking things up, though, as there's a car spinning down the track. That's Nicholas Atwood, who didn't need that. But can they mount a big enough run down the back straightaway? They're all 4 lined up. But Thompson 3/10 ahead here as they go into 3. Going to be looking for that white flag because that's what's going to determine this.
Kevin Thompson would love a caution now. Otherwise, he's going to have to defend the 22, the 24, and the 92 that are going to be right behind him as they cross the line. This is it. It's official. One more lap around. It's your freaky fast white flag. Here we go, Zach. This is it. Kevin Thompson versus Michael Hayes. Or can McMahon steal the win here through 1 and 2?
Can they steal the win is going to be the question because off of 2, the 22 is lurking, but I don't think he's got a big enough run. The 6 has done the job. He's just got to get through 3 and 4, and he should have an opportunity. But that snaking maneuver did slow him down a little bit.
2/10, 1/10. It's going to be out to the outside. Thompson hoping to block off McMahon's run. They're going to be side by side coming off the line. McMahon's able to make the pass for second. McMahon needs the run. Hayes has the draft. Blocking in, out. Thompson's got the lead and across the line. Thompson is a 3-time winner for this 2024 season 1 and is your Shoney's 200 victor at Auto Club.
What a job by him to hold him off. And I tell you what, I think he's thinking that yellow came out because that cooled his tires down. That allowed him able to fire off there. And it just shows you this next-gen car, sometimes that yellow flag, it can be your savior.
The what-ifs now are going to be climbing for McMahon. McMahon already over the radio apologizing to Hayes and knowing they both spun their tires. It hurt Hayes the most. He doesn't even get second. He falls to third. And a frustrating moment maybe for some, but elation for others. Kevin Thompson holds off. The older tires work. The timing is there. And the 6 gets to enjoy another victory as Kevin Thompson goes back-to-back from last week at Phoenix. And he'll be taking the victory here at Auto Club as we go into a 2-week break. Burn it down, number 6, as we will step away when we come back. We'll talk to our top 3 in the Spotlight driver. What a race here at Auto Club. What a finish here tonight for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show on Freaky Fast Broadcasting for the Shoney's 200 at Auto Club. Came down to overtime, where it was the fight in the duel between who was going to get it done between Kevin Thompson, Michael Hayes, Justin McMahon, and it was the older tires by the 6 that gets him to victory lane for the third time this season. Kevin, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. Congratulations on the win. Man, how are you feeling after that exciting finish in overtime?
I'm excited. This race, it was a tight race. Great racing side by side. Only a couple of cautions, but the racing was great. The car, I knew I would lose this race when the caution came out. He had me. He was gonna catch me. He was gonna pass me. My tires were gone, and I knew when that caution come out, I was like, okay, I can get him on the start here and see what happens, and see if he can catch back to me. And it's just I got a great restart on that last green flag, and just beat him to the checker flag.
That you did, Kevin, man. That was an excellent job by you. Like you said, excellent racing out there all night. Everybody put on quite a show. But like you said, you felt like you were beat there if that caution didn't come out. Do you feel like that caution coming out was the pivotal factor, not only with your start, but do you feel like it kind of brought the tire temp back down to where the car fired off a little better?
It did, yeah. I was usually tight going into one after on fresh tires. This time I could stick it in fourth gear, run it wide open into one out of two, and then shift in the fifth. And it stuck for me. Hopefully it did. And just ran 3 good laps and beat them to the checker flag.
Well, Kevin, I know that the chat was exploding, hoping for yourself to win or someone from the Twisted Axle team to get into victory lane. I'm excited that you won because we had our first pick'ems tonight for the season, and I picked you to get into victory lane and win. And so I'm happy to say that I'm 1 for 1 for the season so far. But Kevin, we're going into a 2-week break, and then we're have a 6-race spree after that. How are you going to use these 2 weeks to set up for this next couple of races that are all very different each week that we're going into?
Well, the first off week, I'm going to take a break for my racing and just calm down and do some fishing and stuff like that, and just get ready for the second half of the season, and wait until my teammate Andrew gets back from vacation, and we'll build sets for the rest of the races.
That sounds like a great time to use your off weeks. Kevin, before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Shout out to all my Twisted Axle teammates and their family members that watches every week. My family that watches every week. Y'all putting on a great broadcast each and every week. Daniel for putting this league on, and that's about it.
Well, that will be your winner here tonight for the Shoney's 200 at Auto Club. Kevin Thompson in the 6 machine goes back to back heading into our 2-week break. Enjoy your time off, Kevin, and we'll hopefully be talking to you in 3 weeks.
Yeah, you too.
Well, from victory lane, we go down to second place. Justin McMahon had a very different road than what he's had for the last 2 times we've been at this course. Justin, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. You come away second. That restart on that overtime attempt wasn't the cleanest. It seems scary from our side of the view, but man, how are you feeling coming away with a second place finish here tonight?
Yeah, I'm happy I got finished second there, but I didn't know at the time. I didn't know if I spun the tires on the restart or if I got pushed from the car behind me down into Hayes, and I didn't think I spun him, but at the same time, I don't know, and I just didn't want to wreck Hayes, especially when he was fast all night. So I didn't want to ruin his race for his opportunity to have a chance to win it, and we got hooked bumper to bumper, and I thought I was going to turn him into the outside wall, but luckily we both I tried to steer off of him, and he thought better of it and let off and turned back left, so we were able to come apart with it. Thank God. But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. I know those guys up front probably didn't want to see the caution come out at the end there, but I did. I mean, I was almost 2 seconds off the pace, I think, to third, so I wasn't even going to get a podium, at least have a chance at it. So I was looking forward to that. I'm glad it worked out in my favor there, and tires held out enough for me on the last lap there through 3 and 4, and it stuck, and I was able to get by Hayes to take the position away. That was a lot of fun.
Definitely looked like a lot of fun out there, Justin. Congrats on the second place finish, man, and really putting on a show out there for us. It was really interesting to keep up with the tire strategy all night with, only 3 sets in pit road. There wasn't a lot of fall off on tires, but they definitely made a difference still. So tell us how you really kept up with that all night with the, having that extra set in there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was lap 70, I think, was when that last caution came out. I knew that we could make it from there on fuel. I didn't want to use my last set of tires there because when I was coming from the back a few times, the racing was just insane. So I had a feeling that there was going to be another wreck and bring a caution out. So I knew I could come down and take tires then. So yeah, I mean that was kind of my biggest thing there. But throughout the early part of the race, I was trying to split it in thirds there or whatever. So I wanted to give myself an opportunity at the end to have an extra set to at least give myself an opportunity to make a run for the win there. But yeah, I mean that was really I was kind of hoping for a caution there with under 20 to go or so to at least have something there. But it was, whew, I'm glad it's over, but that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, it looked amazing from our point of view, but we knew it was chaotic for you guys as drivers with all 4-wide racing out there on track. But we're going into a 2-week break, Justin. I know last week you came off of a 20-point penalty for yourself. This is a great rebound from that penalty that you grabbed. But how are you going to reset with this off time and get prepared for these next stretch of 6 races that we're going to have coming up here in the next 3 weeks?
Yeah, I don't know. I think we'll just take this time to just work on setups for maybe the next 2 weeks of races. Bristol, I've liked Bristol a lot. That's usually one of my better tracks if I can kind of stay up front and stay out of trouble. And then if you're up front, you got to try to avoid lap cars if it stays green. So, but yeah, I feel pretty good about Bristol. I'm gonna go one race at a time here. Maybe work on one track for a week, and then maybe the following week work on the next one. But I don't know. We'll get the guys together and we'll work on something, pull something out of our sleeves, hopefully.
Well, we can't wait to see what you guys bring out after this couple of off weeks. Justin, before we officially let you go, though, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, you guys for the broadcast, you guys do an awesome job every week. It's a lot of fun to go back and watch the replays. And my buddy Nate for the Group 6 sponsor on the car, and Daniel for putting the league on, and all of our other Shoney's and all the other sponsors that we have in the league. It's a lot of fun, a lot of competitors this season, so it's it's been a lot of fun battling everybody. So just want to shout out those guys as well for the racing that we've had.
Well, that will be your second place finisher in the 24 machine of Justin McMahon. Congratulations on second, Justin. Enjoy your time off and good luck in 3 weeks at Bristol.
Yeah, thank you. You guys too.
As we move from second place, we go down to third. Driver that thought maybe he had a chance to win, but the late caution that put us into overtime changed some of those fates. We got Michael Hayes with us. Michael, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. You come away with third. You had the pace maybe to go for the win here tonight if that caution didn't come out. But, man, how are you feeling coming away with at least a third-place finish with the way that this night progressed?
Yeah, feeling pretty disappointed, but, I can't be too disappointed with the third-place finish. But, man, what a race. I had a blast tonight.
That it was really a blast, Michael. I tell you, for us up in the booth, it was a hard time even keeping up with all the action out there. But you elected to save the set there and elected to try to come through the field there at the end. Take us through that decision because it seemed like it was going to pay off until that final caution, of course.
Yeah, well, yeah, that final caution, I got hit a little bit on the restart and kind of checked us up. But, yeah, strategy-wise, I kind of split it up into, segments. So my first pit stop would have to be, 25, and then 50, and then 75. So I kind of, went off of that kind of strategy. So I didn't take tires off that first stop. And then Man, I'm gonna be honest, I can't even remember because a lot of stuff happened during the race. But yeah, luckily had a set at the end I was able to use. Definitely helped me out. Thought I had a chance to win on that last green flag run, but unfortunately, other scenarios happen.
Yeah, those other scenarios certainly changed things from you getting into victory lane. But Michael, throughout this run, the first stint of this season, you finished inside of the top 10 every race. You are looking to be the points leader after tonight's race is over. How are you taking this first stint, knowing that we're going into a 2-week break and then we got another 6 races before we have our next breaks that come up? How are you feeling with this first, say, first half of the season so far?
Yeah, having a lot of fun. Having a lot of fun with the speed of the car. I've been having a lot of speed in all the races so far, so that's always fun to have. But yeah, just happy to be consistent. I don't know how many top fives and top tens I got, but I know I've been doing the best I can with just being consistent. Trying to keep the car clean and all that.
Well, we hope that that consistency carries forward after this 2-week break we're heading into. But before we let you go, Michael, the floor is now yours for any shoutouts.
Yeah, shout out to the guys tonight. Had a blast with all the Doghouse guys. Shout out to Doghouse for having these races. I've been really enjoying the Xfinity and Cup series this season. And yeah, I have to go back and watch this one because this was definitely a fun one to watch. So shout out to you guys for sure for broadcasting these races.
Well, thanks for giving us a great show to cover. That will be your third place finisher in the 22 machine of Michael Hayes. Michael, enjoy your break, and hopefully we'll be talking to you in 3 weeks.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
You too. As we move from third place, we go to our spotlight driver that's going to be finding ourselves back in 11th, just missing out of a top 10 finish, but will become our biggest mover of the night. We got Raymond with us. Raymond, you're coming away 11th. Biggest mover, though, started back in 30th. How are you feeling? Because you were in the thick of things all night long.
Oh man, I'm glad the race is over. I'll say that.
Definitely was a. Oh, sorry about that, Ray, but yeah, definitely a wild one there, man. And you definitely were in the thick of things, like Sam was saying. So take us through that, because you were definitely in the middle of the pack, and that's where we saw most of the action. Up front, it was more single file, kind of figured out as they go. But in the middle of the pack, it was 2-3 wide pretty much the whole time.
Street limit cars were slow tonight. We couldn't find a setup that actually worked. So pretty much racing, it's like I didn't hear anybody downshifting near us at all. So I was like, okay, Menchaca, we're just gonna drive the car, leave it in fifth, and go. And then around lap 60, I was like, oh, we're supposed to downshift, brother. He's like, what do you mean? I was like, we're in the thick of things now. After that, near that lap 60 caution came out. I don't know exactly when it was, but I know I had an extra set of tires, and I was like, everyone's slowing down a little bit, but if I downshift, I can actually have better exit. And yeah, no, I screwed the pooch on this one. It wasn't the best showing, but after we were there, man, it was able to pass cars like freely, and it was nice.
Well, I mean, still an incredible run. You were able to move up 19 positions from where you started the night back in 30th. How are you feeling about this first part of the season as we're going into a 2-week break before we come back for Bristol and then a 6-race stint for our next break after that? How are you feeling about so far the beginning of this season?
As I said at Daytona, Street Limit's gonna be making all the setups we're using, and man, it's been a challenge. Every single week, we're trying to put in some hours and just see what we can do. And we think we got a good setup every single week, and the next thing you know, it's like, oh, we're actually 5 seconds slower than the leader. So it's definitely back to the drawing board in these next 2 weeks that we're having off, and hopefully we get something going for us, because I know we all like racing in the front, racing against everybody, and when we do have the chance to race everybody, it's been clean, it's been fun, so it's we just got to get back up there and keep it consistent.
Well, we love it when you are up front, Raymond. We hope that you guys can find that extra speed during this break. But before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shoutouts.
I gotta thank you guys. You guys do a heck of a job week in, week out. So I appreciate you guys. I appreciate Doghouse for putting everything on. I gotta thank Street Limit for getting us into this league, and all the drivers that's within the team, like Menchaca and Harrison. And unfortunately, he wasn't able to race tonight, but at least we had another one of our drivers there, so that's good. I gotta thank Boost the North and the Crew app as well, being huge sponsors for myself. And then I gotta thank everybody else, all the competitors in the league as well. It's been fun. So Can't wait.
Well, that will be your 11th place finisher, but he'll take the reward of our biggest mover. It's Raymond Henneman in that 38 machine. Congratulations on your finish here tonight, and good luck in 3 weeks at Bristol.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
As we move away from our interviews, thank you to all 4 drivers that joined with us. But it's time to take a look at our unofficial results. Really, the change of the game was when we found ourselves getting that late caution that changed up how these drivers were going to finish out this race. Some thought they had the victory in hand. Others thought they had a chance, but over time, cooling off the tires and a little bit of wheel spin gave Kevin Thompson, the 6 machine, into victory lane and a win here at the Shoney's 200. Justin McMahon got to come away with second. Third goes to Michael Hayes. Christopher Norris with a good run in the 83 machine up to 4th. Cameron King falls to 5th. Jamie Horn up to 6th position. Joe McKnight with a great recovery run for the 51. He'll come away with 7th. Gary Clune, another driver who had a recovery run up to 8th. Under the radar, stayed quite all night, but a top 10 finish for Gary Armio in the 7 machine as well, could be said, for the 78 of Daniel Wilkerson. Kind of some surprises, Zach, of drivers that are able to crack into the top 10 there.
Definitely some guys who cracked in there late who weren't up in there. You know, I look at Armio, he really did a good job coming through because he had an EOL at some point. So good job by him, but a couple guys farther down who had good nights going, such as like Schnell back there in 18th. He was up in the mix at one point. Bonomo was up there in the 9 machine. Bill Gentry, Steve Gerber back in 23rd, 24th, they were up in the mix. Even Kevin Brown was making charges up through after not qualifying, but a lot of guys had even issues like Adam Gardner and getting that to go. I mean, the list goes on really, because it was a race of just so much action that I'm not surprised to see a lot of these guys farther down this list that, you know, unfortunately were the ones that got the worst of it.
Yeah, I mean, we found themselves with issues of just incidents that popped up, but overall, great racing here tonight for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. Thank you again to everyone that joined with us here this evening, as Kevin Thompson will win, but then we'll go into a 2-week break. It's kind of sad that we're going into a 2-week break here, Zach, because it's been getting hot and heavy here in this series. Overtime attempts, we've had to use a couple this season, and due to the fact that we only get 1 overtime attempt, it's always that little bit of extra energy at the end of these races.
It is. It's, you know, these overtime attempts make everything that much more fun, and when it's one especially, you know, I think that kind of throws everything for a whirl, and that made it wild. They're coming down to the end where it's going to be the only shot you get. You got to go for it. So I think more drivers are going to be a little bit more nervous on the line and take a little bit more risk. So I like that. And now with the 2-week break that we got, you know, here with these next 2 weeks off, I think a lot of people are going to be planning for when they come back in 3 weeks in Bristol to bring something a little better than they brought at Auto Club. You always look to improve, and the short track will be the first place they look to do it.
And that will be Bristol in 3 weeks these drivers head towards. But for us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting tonight, just finished out our week of coverage. Next week, going to be a little bit different. We will only have 2 broadcasts next week, being Tuesday and Wednesday, as Monday night for the ISRC Truck Series, they're taking the week off. Thursday, we are going to be having, again, 2 weeks off for those drivers at the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. But don't want to miss out on next week, because Tuesday and Wednesday, the racing action heats up both in their playoffs for the BRB Butt Kicker Cup Series and the WSSR Cup Series as well. And for the Wednesday night, it's a cutoff round. Round 11 comes to an end, and we figure out who are 6 drivers that will be running for a championship. It's going to be a great Wednesday night of racing coverage as well for Tuesday, as they're in the middle of their chase, where Gavin Rogers looks to be the odds-on favorite. But can someone spoil his championship hopes for the inaugural season? You'll have to find out. But that's what our upcoming schedule looks like for next week. Thank you so much for joining with us. Zach, any final thoughts before we call it a night here for the Doghouse Cup Series?
Well, first off, shout out to Kevin Thompson for an excellent win, man. Going back to victory lane, and good job on your pick, Sam. Got your first one right. You know, that was an excellent job, got to say, but we'll see how those go out throughout the next few weeks. But once again, another excellent open setup race, and really coming to enjoy these things, man. So again, shout out to all the sponsors here at Doghouse and everybody tuned in tonight.
Yeah, thank you again to everyone that joined with us, and those sponsors being Shoney's, as well as Group 6 and Fanatics for being affiliated with the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. If you're still here, thank you again for watching with us. Please, after the broadcast is over, go down and comment what was your favorite moment of the race? We'd love to hear from you on what your favorite moment, or if you have anything you just want to say about the broadcast, us in general. Maybe you're just wanting to coin a funny phrase. We'd love to see what you got in the comment section. And if you're loving the broadcast in general, hitting that like button lets us know that you're enjoying the show. Thank you so much for joining with us. We had a pleasure giving you the coverage of the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series here tonight. Season 1 of 2024 was a blast so far, 6 races in. We're going to take a quick 2-week break for a Thursday night, but when we come back, it's more short track racing. But for us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, for myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall, Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you for joining with us. Tuesday night will be a fun one to watch. More playoff racing action for the BRB Butt Kicker Cup Series as those drivers get into race 2 of 5. Can't wait for it. That will be our next Freaky Fast broadcast.